Alright, here we go. Okay, that took longer than I thought, because for some reason, fucking YouTube restream wouldn't actually work. Okay, so some time ago, I did float the idea that I should maybe do a... Actually, let's enable that thing so you can see which song is playing in the background. I think we keep the music on, because otherwise it's just so awfully quiet. Anyway, I did float the idea to do a tier list of all the Halo levels since I finished all of them. And yeah, I think that should be fun. And obviously before we begin, like Halo 5 never ported to PC, so can't really speak on them at all. I just know that the story sucks ass. Okay, so to preface, this is going to be from the perspective of kind of a completionist perspective. So not really just like playing through them on normal difficulty or whatever. This is going to be considering the missions on like legendary, how it is to speedrun them, how it is to get par score. I'm not going to take Lasso into account, even though I've beaten some of them on Lasso. I'm just now realizing that it doesn't appear to contain ODST for some reason. That's weird. I could have sworn that it did. Okay, well, alright. Oh well. So yeah, that's going to be the perspective on this list. So why don't we begin with Pillar of Autumn, the first mission of the whole last series. Well, I know a lot of people are like really nostalgic for it, and in some ways I can see why, but I also think it's kind of a boring mission. Like, it's just a lot of corridors, really. Yeah, I think it serves decently as like a tutorial level, but it's also one of those levels that, funnily enough, is always faster to play on like legendary. Because it might be as well heroic, but I know for sure that at least on legendary, the tutorial is always skipped. If you're replaying it on any other difficulty, and I think this even goes for heroic, but you will have to do the stupid ass tutorial. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can understand that they felt that way like back when it came out or whatever, but I feel like for the Master Chief Collection, both the fact that they released that thing on console in 2014 and then a few years later on PC, it just doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't just make that thing optional, or at least like have some sort of way for you to skip it. So, but on the whole, I think it's not a mission that I roll my eyes to or anything, because it's a fairly consistent mission. Like, if you know what you're doing, you can probably get through it pretty painlessly, even on legendary. Even when I did it on Lasso, it's not too bad. But that's mainly because you have stuff like because it's cramped corridors and the boom skull is on, as well as grunts exploding. So I think we're gonna put that in B. So it's like kind of middle of the road. All right, next one is Halo. It's an interesting one, sort of, in that I think visually speaking, this one is a lot more interesting than Pillar of Autumn. There's no doubt about that. And it also has more strats to speed things up, and not that Pillar of Autumn doesn't have any, but they're usually fairly small. The ones on Halo are fairly significant. Frustratingly, though, they aren't like super consistent. Like the grenade jump at the start is I'm not very consistent at it, so, but I can't really blame that entirely on the trick itself. I'm sure it's just me not placing the grenade correctly and all that, but yeah. But the thing that usually frustrates me about this mission is that the funniest skip has a tendency to not work, which is after you've gotten to the first what would you call it? Installation, I guess? The thing that like beams stuff up into the sky. The main strategy from there on for this mission is to actually kill pretty much all the Marines. Because if the Marines are dead, then the dialogue will not play, and the game will not have to wait for the dialogue to finish to continue moving forward. Not only that, but when it comes to later on in the mission where you have 3 locations with Marines and some other crew members that are like hunkered down by a bunch of Covenant around them, there you can actually, there you're actually supposed to kill them again, of course, but in those cases it's even bigger because you skip like 2 really big fights by just killing them off really quickly. Although I've had massive issues actually getting the game to actually recognize that they are all dead, like even though I've killed all of them. So this is usually a mission that will usually play out fairly well at the start, and then for some reason just falls apart. Yeah. But on the whole, I don't think it's like worse than Pillar of Autumn, though. I don't think that's fair to say. So I think we're gonna put that in B as well. But yeah. Actually, we'll put it above Pillar of Autumn, I think. So I think generally speaking, it is a It is like a nicer level and everything. Because Pillar of Autumn is just so like scripted, I suppose. All right. So next one, Truth and Reconciliation. All right. So I'm gonna be a bit of a contrarian here. I know that this is like a fan favorite level. Lots of people love it, and I can kind of see why in some cases. But the thing is, this level is just so long. Like it's I think the main pisser that they take on this mission is the fact that, like, once you've fought your way through the woods and get to like the beaming up platform for the ship, on like lower difficulties, I think heroic and below, I'm pretty sure, they will spawn 4 waves of enemies. On legendary, they will spawn 8. Like, that's a lot of fucking enemies, man. And at that point, you're not even like at the halfway point of the mission even. Because you have to fight through the woods, fight through all 8 of those waves, and then fight two hunters. And hunters, of course, they can either be the easiest enemies in the goddamn universe if you can manage to land a shot in their back, because then they just keel over and die instantly. If you miss that, yeah, you're in trouble. Then after that is when a lot of the skips start happening. Now, the first skip I actually haven't done. It's called, what is it, like hanger skip? No, it's not hanger skip, it's belly skip. Whereby you basically crouch into like an inactive wraith. Like, you can't do anything with it or anything like that, but... And then you, like, blow the... first you blow, like, the wraith up and everything, and then sort of get yourself inside it and... like, eject yourself on top of the level, and then just... walk out of there, which is... pretty funny and pretty cool. So it is kind of a nice skip in that regard, but the big one comes up next, which is the hanger skip. Hanger skip is absolutely insane. Because basically what happens in hanger is that you're supposed to get in there, and Cortana is supposed to start like some sort of RP and everything, and then a bunch of enemies start spawning. I think some Marines even come in to like help you out, and then you have to fight 2 more hunters and everything. Like, it's a long ass slog. But if you manage to do a grenade stack, which is throwing grenades so that they all land in one location. And the way grenades work is that unless they are, like, the explosion timer doesn't start until they have, like, been registered as being in a grounded state. And as such, if you pick up a overshield, which gives you iframes, you can then use that grenade stack to bounce yourself all the way up to like, even like either just the level above you or straight up to the absolute top, which is the top is of course a lot harder because you need to stack even more grenades, but it can be done. And by doing so, you not only skip the fight in the hangar, but you also skip all the fights throughout the corridors that follow the hangar. Yeah, so that is a sick skip, and it's it feels great to actually get right. So yeah. And I think that skip alone has kind of made me appreciate the level a little bit more. Because prior to that, it just felt like such a long-ass slog. Then you continue onward and you finally free Captain Keyes and some of the other crew members. And this is where the game starts to take a take the piss again, because you will instantly lose the moment Keys dies. And of course, the AI in this game is not very good. It has a tendency to just walk into the line of fire, walk close to grenades that are about to explode. If one of the Marines gets stuck, Keys will not actually move away. He will just stick around. He will just stick around and get blown up like an absolute fool. Which does make a segment that is actually like fairly short. I think that escape segment with Keys afterwards should be like 2 or 3 minutes or something, but yeah, it can take way longer than that depending on your luck or misfortune rather. Good old escort mission AI. Yeah, absolutely. It is fucking rough. Yeah. I honestly don't really understand why they like why did they make it so that he takes explosion damage? Like why not just make him immune to it? Or like at least like reduce it heavily. Like there's ways to make this easier, because ultimately, he, like 9 out of 10 times, he's not dying because you played poorly. He's dying because the enemies decided to do something you couldn't really stop. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But shortly after that, we actually have another really funny skip, which is as we make our way back to what would that room be called? Like control room? Map room? Something like that. He will... like, Keys and the Marines are supposed to prattle on with a bunch of dialogue for a while. And then you're supposed to continue onwards back to the hangar to steal a Banshee. Now, first off, since we did, if you did the hangar skip, like with the grenade stack and everything, then once you get past that room, like once that, like all the dialogue is through, you will instantly win the mission. Because you didn't hit the like mission triggers for the hangar and everything. For some reason it just means that the other ones will fail to load, and as such they will just skip you directly to the end. Which is pretty funny and pretty great, but even funnier is the fact that in order to speed this up, you guessed it, we have to commit treason again. Where, when we're almost at the room, like where they're supposed to have like their dialogue and everything, we actually turn back and just headshot like 3 of the Marines, which will cause Keys and whatever remaining Marines, if any, to turn hostile. And then once all the elites in like the map room or whatever are dead and Keys enters the room, because of the fact that he's hostile and the Marines are hostile, the dialogue will not load, and as such you will instantly win. So yeah, it's pretty funny. But the thing is, this mission is just so long though. And I think the skips are cool. And if the skips weren't there, I definitely think this would be a D. But because of the skips, I do think this is a pretty solid C. All right, Silent Cartographer. This is this mission actually. It's such a funny contrast on this mission compared to like the first time you play it or the way you're supposed to play it, which is you land on the beach and you fight with the Marines against the Covenant. There's all this epic music going on. It's like a pretty cool set piece. And with the speedrun, you actually just turn around and just leave them. You just run around the entire island because it's actually faster to go that way than try to fight your way through these guys. Because if you go around almost like half the island, you will eventually find a warthog, and then you just grab that warthog and then you do something pretty funny. But this thing is really hard. At least to me it is. I've had a lot of trouble actually executing this thing correctly. When you go like inside the building you're supposed to go to, you will notice that as you come down like the ramp, that the door closes. And the game will tell you like, oh, you have to go over to this area to like open the door or whatever. But what if you were fast? And that is precisely where the warthog comes in. You finagle your warthog down the ramps and everything, even though it's like really tight and it's really rough. And honestly, and what you do is pretty... It's both genius and hilarious in that you just drive down and then quickly make a sharp right turn. And as you do that, you get out of the vehicle. And because of you get out of the vehicle, but the vehicle is still moving, the vehicle will actually push you forward and give you a bunch of momentum. And this will actually be enough to actually push you through before the door actually closes. And then you can just backsmack the sword elite on the other side. Just take his grenades and move along. So that thing is really funny. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that I've had just tremendous issues actually getting this trick to work, which has pulled down my enjoyment of this mission by a lot. And also, if you're doing like the speed run of it all, then whenever you hit restart level, the level will always begin with a cinematic. And you might think, well, I should be able to skip this. I was able to skip the one that starts on Halo, right? No. For whatever reason, this one you can't skip. There's actually a bunch of those, including the one that begins on Truth and Reconciliation. Fortunately for that mission, I think it's slightly shorter than the one on Silent Cartographer, and the mission itself doesn't actually begin with like a really hard trick. So it's not quite as big of a deal, but it's still like, but still, it doesn't help. But for Silent Cartographer, that the start of that is rough. It is really rough, and yeah. There's also supposed to be like a way for you to get like a checkpoint down on the ramp as you finagle the warthog down into like the building. But for whatever reason, I can never get that checkpoint to actually happen. Not sure why. I think it's probably because the vehicle never actually ends up in a properly grounded state. So that might be it. But then after that, the tricks actually don't stop there. Because right after this, you can actually... What you're supposed to do is like fight your way all the way down to the bottom to get the, you know, the map. But you can actually go out onto a little walkway. Like there's like a little balcony on the right hand side, and you can actually see like the spot where you're supposed to go to down there. And along the way there's like walkways and everything from like that you can take if you want to and so on to get down. And what you actually do is you jump off and then do like a slope intercept, I think it's, or a slope glide, something like that, which means that you will take no falling damage. Even though it is tricky though, it is tricky, and sometimes you will take some falling damage. But that way you can actually get down a good amount of distance without actually having to die. And then you can just... then you basically have a choice. You can either do the simple strat, which is to just jump down and land on top of the overshield, because the overshield, as I mentioned earlier, gives you iframes, and that includes from falling damage. So you can jump onto that and then just grab the map and then just start walking all the way up again. And yeah, that way back is not actually as bad as you might think. It's well, it depends on a couple of things. It depends on, one, how much health you have, because you do need to do a little grenade jump in order to get up there, basically. And then you have to make use of a camo that you find, and it's at that point you're kind of locked in as to like how fast you can go. If you can go really fast, you can basically get out of pretty much all of it before the camo actually expires. Although the final room can be a bit of a bitch, and sometimes it's just the enemies are just in awful positions and it's almost impossible to get through. But yeah. But there is another strat, and I haven't done this personally, but I have seen plenty of people do it. But it's a tricky one, which is you do another grenade stack. And I think you do like 5 or 6 grenades or something. So obviously you need to make sure that you have all those grenades when you get there. And you do the grenade stack, pick up the overshield, and then you actually blow yourself up and you fly all the way up back to the balcony that was just outside the entrance door. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. There's also an alternative strat where if the Warthog is like where I think you can potentially like grab onto the Warthog, because there's like an open window right next to that location. So all in all, I think it's not a mission that I have a whole lot of enjoyment from. It's a very frustrating mission for me personally, but it's also just really funny how the tricks in this one has just completely snapped the mission in half. Because like the speedrun of this level in like a really decent state is you go in, You run around, grab the warthog, you go down the ramp, you get flung through, you jump down, you pick up the map, you do the grenade stack, you get all the way up, and then you just run to the Pelican and you're out. Like a mission that I think has a part time of like what, 15-20 minutes can actually be done in less than 5. That's pretty nuts. So I think because of just how interesting the strategies are, I might actually have to put it in A. Yeah, I think that's a solid move. Okay. Now, Assault on the Control Room. This is a mission that I initially did not like. I thought it was just way too long. It was just kind of a slog, just really rough. And I think the part time on this level is something like it's definitely 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. The speedrun of this level can be done in 2. I think it's 2. It's 2 or 3, something like that. And I honestly think it has one of the most ingenious tricks I have ever seen in a Halo game, which is that once you get control of your character and you get through the initial parts, you will come to a bridge. And that bridge, just as you enter, you will see a Banshee come flying in. Now, the thing is, there is no, like, grappling vehicles in Halo 1, so while some people definitely, like, probably had the idea for the longest time, like, oh man, what if we could grab the Banshee somehow and, like, fly to the end of the level? But, yeah, obviously there's no grab, so how would you do that? Well, it's actually a setup where you can reliably get the Banshee in a position where they basically grind against the wall hard enough for the elite inside to fall out of it. Yeah, it's it's pretty goddamn funny. And then you just take the Banshee and you just fly to the end of the level. Yeah. Like, there's no enemies, none of that. You just go there. And then you can even, like, speed it up with something called Banshee teleports, which I haven't done myself. But, yeah, you can basically shave off another, like, minute and a half by doing Banshee teleports, but I didn't really bother with it because it wasn't really necessary. But I think it's just so funny that a mission that is so long has you playing with like a variety of different vehicles. It's supposed to be like an assault, like a really big battle map basically, and it just completely ignores it, and it doesn't do it through some like weird, like exploiting some weird weakness that the developers left in, but rather just cleverly using game mechanics. And I think that's just so cool. And it feels amazing when you actually pull it off and you grab the Banshee and you start flying. It's like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. So I gotta be honest, I think this is an S rank for me for that reason. I think it's just so mind-blowing. Yeah. Okay, 343 Guilty Spark. I think narratively speaking, this mission is pretty strong. It introduces the flood and everything, and it does so pretty well in like alluding to that something is wrong, something is scaring the shit out of not just the Marines, but the Covenant as well. So I think that's nice. And yeah, the reveal is pretty strong and everything, and yeah, it's pretty nice. However, this is definitely a level where I feel like they've definitely had some instances in like Assault and Control Room where they basically reused like the same room model over and over again. But at least there, it seemed somewhat clear, like, okay, this is where you're supposed to go and so on. But in 343, like, I feel like they used the same model 5 times or something, and it's not even like a big, long level. There's not much in between, really. So a lot of the time, you almost keep going from like one identical room to another. Which, yeah, it's pretty boring. Now, there is a pretty significant skip you can do in this level, which is you will grenade bump yourself into the floor and then jump through a wall into like a later stage of the level, which is decently cool, I suppose, but yeah, I think on the whole, it's not that impressive. It's like it's kind of what you expect from like a speedrun. It's like, yeah, you click through a wall here. Yeah, it's I'm trying to remember, like, did I actually pull that trick off, or did I just run the level I think I may have just run the level normally, because I made some calculations and came to the conclusion that I didn't need the time save, and as such, there was no point to, like, keep trying this. Yeah. There's also some other skips you can do as well, where you like do some grenade jumps, and yeah, their digits, they're not really that impressive, and if anything, I often find them annoying because the slope that for those who haven't played Halo C, the way platforming is in that game is awful. Like, there's like weird delays to your jump and everything, and it's just, yeah. So it just makes those little acrobatics really frustrating, and I can't really stand it. So I think this may have to be a C, because at the end of the day, it's not particularly long. It's not like, it has a few frustrating segments, but usually you get through it pretty quickly. So I think this might be a C. Now, for the library, boy. Yeah. Yeah, the library is just well, no, it doesn't really like copy paste too much, but the thing is, like, they just change small bits of the layout. Like, the basic idea is like you're in a tower, and then you just go up one floor and then go up another floor and so on and so forth. And the thing is, so much of the layout is so similar. And yeah, it's just not very exciting. It's also one of those levels where I think they wanted to make the flood feel really scary, but they just feel like just like a chore almost. Like they just keep spawning and spawning and spawning and spawning, and there's several times where you just have to wait. You just have to wait for 343 Guilty Spark to actually open the door, which is just yeah, not a big fan. It's pretty dull, and what's worse is that it's really long. Like really, really long. Like, I think this is one of the few levels where they just there's really not much speed tech you can fit into it. There's not really much you can do to speed it up. There is a skip at the start, which I've done, which it's pretty simple. There's like a grenade jump you can do at the end as well to get to the exit early, but yeah, on the whole, there's not really much you can do. You just have to run and like hope for the best. Yeah, it's yeah, I'm gonna have to put it in D, I think. I'd say it's a high D because it's not a mission that I vomit at the sight of really, but yeah. Not a strong showing. Two Betrayals, on the other hand, I do vomit at the sight of. This mission sucks. It is... like, there's been several times throughout the game now where they have just, like, reused the same room over and over. Two Betrayals is just Assault on the Control Room backwards. That's it. And it is so annoying. It is just tons and tons of enemies, and it just takes ages to get through them, and you literally start the level with a plasma pistol and a shotgun. Like, yes, you probably had a shotgun during the library, but that doesn't really matter, does it? So on the whole, I don't get why they decided to start you with that, because it's not a good weapon to have here. Fortunately, you can swap it out, but you still have to like fight through a ton of enemies before you can even do that. Now, there is a skip you can do at the start, which is... It's a weird one. It's not even like funny, it's just weird in that when you open the gate to the outside, you click the button once and then you wait until the animation has stopped playing, and then you click it again. This, for some reason, causes the... only, like, a small amount of the enemies to spawn in. And then you just kill those enemies, you run down, you grab a Banshee, fly the Banshee back up to where the console is, and then just hop out and you interact with the console to actually spawn, you know, the rest of the enemies and everything. And then you jump into the Banshee and then you can continue with the mission. And if you think like, oh, well, why do you have to like, couldn't you just, you know, get in the Banshee and fly to the end? No. This level is the polar opposite of Assault on the Control Room, where basically the end of the level is just accessible. You just need to get there. That's all it asks. Two Betrayals is mired in checkpoints. And if you miss any checkpoint along the way, the game will just refuse to progress. And I think even during casual play, you can accidentally trigger that, where you somehow miss the checkpoint or something, and yeah, you're just not gonna get... shit is just not gonna spawn. You're not gonna be able to interact with stuff. It's terrible. So yeah, it's not a fun mission, and it's really long. Yeah, I really don't like it. Now, from a long mission, we go to, in the speedrun, the shortest mission. Actually. Keys is actually a level that I think I've only played it properly once, which is the first time that I played it. Because this mission has such a like, it has a skip that just snaps the level in half. Although admittedly it is not as cool as Assault and Control Room, because what you do is at the start of the level you will see a grunt running by with a flood running after him, and the flood has no arms because poor guy just lost them. So what you do is you aggro the flood, you get him to follow you back to the location where you spawned in, and you line yourself up and you shoot the flood and just hope that it's actually one of the floods that actually resurrect once they've been killed. Because if it is, then you position yourself on top of him, and when he resurrects, he will actually bump you through the wall. Which is kind of important, because if you get through that wall, you are now at like the end of the level almost. So then you just need to make sure to get 2 checkpoints simultaneously, like in a row, and then you just you will actually see a bunch of enemies, but they are only spawned in, but their AI is not enabled. So you can just beat the shit out of them or blow them up. They will die, but the game will not like actually trigger that like death animation or anything. So that's kind of funny. But then you just go through, get to Keys, literally blow his mind, and then after that you just kind of run to the end. So a mission that I think has a hard time of about 15 minutes can be done in less than 2. That's pretty nuts. But yeah, I think speedrun wise it's a fun level, although it is short. It is very short. But that said, it is not like over and done with. It does take some effort to actually get the right flood form, and I think there are ways you can like manipulate it, but then those manipulations also depend on things like the difficulty you play on, which skulls you have active, and so on and so forth. Like there's a lot of work that goes into this one, even though it is the shortest mission in the entire game. But I still think it's so enjoyable to pull the trick off. It really is. So I think I have to put it up there. Is it higher than Silent Cartographer? No, I don't think so, actually. I guess I'm not quite as excited when I pull off the Silent Cartographer trick. It's more like relief that like, oh god, thank fuck it's over. But still. Okay, so then we have the Maw. The Maw. I gotta be honest, I have not really played this mission too much. And there are some speed tech in it. But the time save is like not that there's nothing too insane about it. It's pretty, I think for the most part it's just like playing the level normally, just really fast. Yeah, I don't think this, yeah, nothing really comes to mind that, oh, you do this to really speed things up. It's also kind of annoying in that yeah, like when you like get to the end, you get to like the engine room, and then you have to like blow up the 4 engines, and you're supposed to use the RPG to do it because the RPG is the fastest, but sometimes blowing those up is really finicky for whatever reason. I don't know why they decided to make it like really finicky at the same time as just spawning a ton of enemies. And then we get to like the escape sequence, and I think I've grown more tolerable of the escape sequence just because I've gotten better at driving, but I'm still not a fan of the driving in these games. But it's yeah, there are some shortcuts you can take while driving, but yeah, like mostly it's just like, yeah, you drive and just try your best not to fucking roll over. But on the whole, I don't actually like actively dislike running the levels, so I think it's a C. Yeah, I think so. Okay, now on to Halo 2, and alright, so Halo 2, for those who have played it, you know that Jackal snipers are the absolute worst on Legendary. They would just randomly one-shot you, there's nothing you can really do, it's not reactive, it's not fun, it's just atrocious. As such, some of the levels are going to be dragged down heavily by them. But we start with Cairo Station, which has 0 Jackal snipers. Pretty good. And Cairo Station is pretty good, I would say. I do think it's a little rough. Like, it does have like a lot of enemies. It's definitely like way more than in the Pillar of Autumn, and I think it's kind of by design. It's hard to say. It's I think presentation-wise, it is miles better. It definitely feels like a proper space station, everything, and they definitely went out of the way to like make sure to like have big glass panels everywhere so you could like, see out to space, so it actually feels like you are in space and not just, you know, in a corridor. So I do think that's very nice, and it's of course very pretty if you have like the anniversary graphics on. And when it comes to like speed tech, there is actually a pretty cool one at the beginning where you can like bug your way past the tram you came on, which is pretty great actually, that you can do that, because it's because that skips that skips a lot. That skips having to wait for the first door to actually be opened by the Covenant. It skips having to fight all the Covenant that are on the other side of the door. And it also skips having to fight all the Covenant in the courtyard. Like, it is... Well, did you have to skip? Maybe not. I think you could walk up behind on the roof there, yeah. But regardless, it is a very nice skip to begin the level with, and I haven't gotten to trying it too much yet, but since the skip is literally at like the very start, that is very nice. That is very, very nice. Let's see. Is there any other skips in this level? I don't think there is. No, not really. I mean, well, there's like a small one where you can like jump up, like skip taking the stairs, but it's that only stays like a couple of seconds. It's not that huge. So speed tech wise, not too much to write home about, but on the whole, I gotta say, I enjoy the presentation of it. It does feel like a real assault and everything. I do know that when I played this level initially, I played so terribly, it literally took me 4 hours to get through this level. On Legendary, mind you, but still, yeah, it was really bad. But ever since then, I've gotten a lot more appreciation for this level. It's a good level. I genuinely think so. It does have like a few moments where you have to wait for shit and whatnot, but it's generally not that long. And it's usually like after a big fight, which like lets you catch your breath for a moment. So yeah. And as such, I think this thing might go into A. Even though like the speed tech is very limited, it's a solid level. Now, Outskirts. This one is difficult for me to grade, because if you play this level normally, this is the level that introduces the Jackal Snipers. And for a large amount of it, like especially like the early portions of the level, there's a lot of them. My god, is there a lot of them. Yeah, there's just so many Jackal Snipers, and it's just awful. Here's the thing though. In the speedrun of it, I think you come across one Jackal Sniper, which is in the vehicle segment. Because in the speedrun route of this, you literally just jump up on the roof and then just hop across from roof to roof. It's really quite cool. Yeah. So if I play this level, if I had to play this level like normally, I'd probably put it in D, like without a doubt, because it's too much Jackal bullshit. But because of the fact that we skip all the annoying shit, that actually pulls it ahead quite a bit. Then we get to, it's basically like a long vehicle segment. All we have to do is just get to the end of the level. We just have to drive there, and we can either do it in a Ghost or in a Warthog. Ghost is faster, Warthog is more reliable. That's basically how it goes. And yeah, it's even though there are no Jackal Snipers in like the underground where you're gonna be driving, it's still like, it's still mired with RNG. Like, you can just get fucking lit up by the enemies here. Or your vehicle can decide to take an absolute tumble. So the enjoyment isn't quite as strong there. So I think I might have to put it in B. Although I am gonna put it in the high B, just because the initial skip is so fun. Like, especially when you like know all the annoying shit that you're skipping. So I do think it deserves to be there. Okay, so Metropolis. Metropolis is it's a little weird, and I gotta say I'm not. I can't say that I'm the biggest fan of it. Like, okay, you get a tank at the very beginning, and you think, oh, okay, cool. Then we get to drive the tank and just blow shit up, and yeah, it's true. But if you're speedrunning, you actually have to get out of the tank immediately and take a Warthog instead. And then it's basically just a Hail Mary of just trying to get through the bottom sections of that level without shit completely hitting the fan. And that shit is hard. It is really tough, because again, Jackal snipers. So sometimes you're just gonna get completely lit up, and probably, well, sometimes, most of the time you're gonna get completely lit up, and yeah, it's gonna be a real shit show. Then after that, what you're supposed to do is try to get through, you know, get out of the sewers, and then find yourself. Hey, Femcorp's 19. Thank you for the follow. How you doing? Oh wait, Femcorp. Sorry for mispronouncing. Also, I'm cooking some fries right now. Ooh, delicious. I'll have some. Okay, where was I? You get through... And you get through, like, a park. And... wouldn't you know it, there's more Jackal snipers here. But you don't want to actually spend too much time taking them out. Instead, you just want to beeline it towards a Warthog. Get in... and then drive as fast as you can out of there. And again, just hope and pray that the enemies don't light you up. And it's a complete crapshoot. Then you get to a bunch of enemies, like a bunch of Wraith tanks, actually. And you just have to get out and hop onto one of the Wraith tanks and just beat it so that the hatch falls off, and then you can headshot the elite inside it, and then you just hop in and take the Wraith tank and blow up everything around you so you can actually progress forward. How's the day going? Also, I'm just making my lunch. My day's going pretty well. We just finished Warhammer 40k bolt gun a little while ago. Finished that on the hardest difficulty. It was really tough. Probably gonna do horde mode on that game next week, but we'll see. And right now we are doing a little tier list of all the Halo levels. Well, I say all, but ODST and Reach is not here. I can't believe that I couldn't find a list that was just Master Chief Collection, but oh well. I'll see if I can find those. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Okay, so then for Metropolis comes the Scarab encounter. I don't like the Scarab encounter. I think it's really... it's just frustrating. It really is. It's, I think what they're trying to, like, make you do is, or incentivize you to do at least, is to get the RPGs and then just blow up all the enemies on it. But it's really hard to actually get some good hits in with the RPG on it, because they just hide everywhere or stay downstairs, whereby you can't really get a shot on them. Now, the speedrun route for it is you actually, when like the scarab like crawls over the building, you're supposed to like grenade jump on top of you either grenade jump straight onto the scarab or onto like a lamppost and then jump onto the scarab, which sounds kind of cool, but it's really finicky. Like, especially if you don't have the Sputnik skull on, which increases the force at which explosions eject you. And I think basically what you do is, after that, is you just position yourself at the head of the scarab, and then where you basically clip through it, and then you just wait until the two pilots actually spawning, because they're actually not spawned in when the scarab is moving through. If they were, that would actually make this trick a lot more cool, but you actually just have to wait until he gets to like the final area, and that's when you can actually shoot the two pilots and actually finish the mission, which, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. I think it's I think the early game is just really painful, and even when you get through it to the end, it's still like not too fun. But on the whole, it's not like a level that I absolutely abhor. So I think it might be a low C because of that. Okay, so the Arbiter. The Arbiter is an interesting level. So the Arbiter, again, exemplifies the idea that killing your allies is actually good for speed, because it means that their dialogue will not play, and when the dialogue doesn't play, the game doesn't have to wait for them to finish talking. So you literally stop the level by sticking to elites and sorting to grunts. Yeah. And then you just stealth past all the enemies in the first section, which is surprisingly easy to do. You don't have to fight anybody there. And then comes the really tricky thing, which is doing the elevator clip. I have only been able to do this, I think, once, and it was awful, because basically what you do is you start the elevator, and then you just, and eventually when it goes down, like there won't be like glass panels to prevent you from jumping off it. So you jump off it once it gets to that point, and then get underneath it. And you have to position yourself very particularly. And the position you take and everything, it depends on like the enemies, where they spawn. So you kind of have to decide that in the heat of the moment. And then you have to get the enemies to like get over to a certain location. And it's like really finicky, and if everything works out, you will basically be able to lunge with the sword at one of the enemies, which gives you no collision for a moment, which causes you to fall through the ground and right through to the hallway that is unlocked after you're supposed to have defeated every enemy in the hangar. Yeah, it's a wild trick, I'll give it that, but it's also really annoying, I think. I've had nothing but issues actually getting this thing to work, and usually I think I just skip it and instead just take the hanger fight and just, yeah. Let me think. What is there any other skips on the Arbiter? Oh, there is one at the end. I'm just trying to remember. Is there any? I'm actually gonna check a video real quick. I don't think there is. No. Okay. Yeah. Then after that, you basically just get through all the corridors as best as you can. Use your camo to the best of your ability. It's a little tricky, but not too bad, I think. And then you get to the end of the mission, where I think you do the most logical skip in the universe. You're supposed to follow the heretic leader who's flying around in a Banshee. But the thing is, the end of the level, he will always end up at one specific point in the level. And if you know where that point is, well, you can just fly there. So that's precisely what you do in speedrun. You just fly directly there, jump out, and get to the end of the level. You basically turn a flying segment that is like several minutes long and make it last all about 20 seconds. Yeah, it's pretty good. So while I think the elevator skip is a little annoying, I gotta say I do enjoy this mission though. Definitely not quite as much as Outskirts, I think. Do I? I think we're gonna put it there. It seems like sensible, yeah. Okay, and then immediately after we go into the Oracle. Okay, so the Oracle is... it's kind of a shit sandwich. It has some stuff that I think is absolutely wonderful, and some stuff that I think is just the absolute pits. So, right off the bat, it starts off with having to listen to a bunch of dialogue, unless you get rid of some of them. Then after that, you're supposed to... you have to find out a bunch of flood forms before you can move on. And then you get to an elevator. And what do you know? It's an elevator fight. And you might be thinking, well, elevators are usually just like, yeah, you go down and that's it. No. This one, for whatever reason, goes like up and down and up and down. Like, it's one of those times where I don't really understand what the purpose of this platform is. Like is if it is to like transport wares, then where would you go? Like, because it doesn't stop anyway. Just yeah, it just feels like one of those things that, like, yeah, it's a challenge for the player and everything, but it doesn't really make sense. Like, why is this thing here? Why is it doing this? Yeah. And then you get past the elevator. you can't. Oh, and you can't really do any skips for the elevator. I think there is some funky shit you can do for like lasso to skip having to do a lot of fighting, but ultimately there's not much you can do in terms of like saving time other than just kill the enemies as quickly as possible. And I think once you get like close to the platform where you're supposed to get to, then you can jump off, but it takes a long while to get there, because if you jump too early you will just hit a kill plane and die. So it's so that part isn't too great. And then we get to another room where the doors are locked and we have to fight a bunch of enemies. Yeah, it's at that point it's getting a little tiresome. It's possible. It's possible. But yeah, you get through that room and finally the level like opens up and you're not like constrained by constantly having to fight like room after room of enemies. Now you just have to fight your way past some enemies or stealth your way past them if you want, and then get to the room where the heretic leader is, and then you have to just clear it of enemies. And then comes one of probably the funniest and most overpowered strats in the entire game, I think, which is you make your way up towards an elevator, and you're supposed to take the elevator to the very top and destroy some power couplings so that the doorway will open up for you down below. Here's the thing though. You get up there, you start the elevator, you make sure you're not on the elevator so it goes up without you, and you press the button again so it goes back down, and then the elevator crushes you. And you might think, well, wouldn't that kill me? No, it actually doesn't. Instead, it sends you flying up in the air at just extreme speed, and you will end up upstairs where you're supposed to be much faster. Someone crushing you is not going to kill you. No. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger, right? But yeah, that thing catapults you all the way up there, faster than the elevator would have traversed you up there. But that's just the beginning of this thing. Because once you've done this, you are now invulnerable to damage for the rest of the level. Yeah. So you can just go destroy the couplings. It doesn't matter if a bunch of flood are wailing on you. No issue at all. And then you just have to jump down. But when you jump down, you do have to wait a little bit, because doing this trick kind of fucks with your gravity and everything. And because of that, you have to like wait for, I think it's 12 seconds after destroying the final coupling, and then jump down. Otherwise, you're gonna have like, you're gonna be so floaty, you're not even gonna be able to do really anything. It's just you're just gonna fall so slowly. So yeah, you have to wait for that. But that's no big deal, really. And then you just make it to the end of the level, and thankfully this means that the boss fight, which otherwise would have been just horrendously annoying. I remember it being an absolute pain the first time I did it on Legendary. But now, since you're invulnerable, you can just fuck around and just sword a guy as soon as you see him, and you're done. So this one I feel is also divisive in that the early game is really rough, but then the late game is such a breeze. So I think it might actually end up in B as well, right next to the Arbiter, because it's kind of a similar thing in that the early game is a little rough, but then as soon as you get past that, it's a complete breeze. Okay, Delta Halo. Delta Halo is unfortunately a level I have not properly spedrun yet, but I have studied some of the strats you use, and casually this level is rough. Like fairly rough at least, because it starts out with like just a lot of enemies, and you have to like make it past them, and then there's a bunch of jackal snipers, and after that you either have to fight your way past all the enemies and lower the bridge, and then drive a tank through all of the remaining bits, which can take a long time. The speedrun, however, you do the first part of it normally, but then when you get to the part where you're supposed to lower the bridge, you instead steal a ghost. You drive it up to the side, and then get out of the ghost. You throw a plasma grenade on the ground, and then drive straight at the plasma grenade. And if you lined it up properly, then the plasma grenade will explode and fling you across the chasm to the other part of the level. This in of itself is not like a huge skip, but it does mean that you don't... But it does mean that all of the enemies that would have otherwise spawned that you would have to fight, you won't have to deal with them. You could just drive right past them. And then when you get to the next open area, you do some funny maneuvers with the ghost again, up a wall, and you actually just ride it around until you actually get to a certain point where you glide down and get back into bounds, and you just waltz to the end of the level. So this is another level where, thankfully, speedrun strats actually makes it a lot more tolerable. Because casually, I think it's really awful. Because there's just just a lot of jackal snipers, and the second to final area of enemies is just like, I think it has 3 times where it spawns enemies. Like, rather than it just being like a bunch of enemies and then you just deal with those enemies, it's like it has a bunch of enemies, then it spawns some new enemies, and then it spawns some new enemies, and I think in every one of those ways it spawns snipers. So you have to be immediately on your toes, and it's hard to really realize when they have spawned. So yeah, it's casually not a level I enjoy. Speedrun wise, kind of a breeze. Like, I think obviously, since I haven't done it, it's easy to say like, oh well, it's gonna be so easy now, and I am aware that the grenade jump can be a little tricky, but the thing is, you can just put on the Sputnik skull, which does make it a lot easier, since you'll get a lot more force from the explosion. So and I do think the like, some of the speedrun strats are pretty cool. Like, they're definitely not mind-blowing or anything, but it's nice. So I think it deserves a low A because of that. Like, I think when speedrun strats basically make the game better, it's or more enjoyable, that's good. And I think in this case it does. Okay, then we have regret. Yep, regret. It's a very apt title, because everyone feels regret when they play this level. Regret for actually picking up the game. This level is rough. this level is... It has a lot of Jackal Snipers. And it does have some skips. And they do make some parts of it a lot easier, but the thing is, a lot of it is just... It's just a lot of waiting, which isn't very exciting. Like, you have to take 2 gondola fights, you have to take 2 long-ass elevators. Yeah, it's not the most enjoyable. And to cap it off, it has a extremely frustrating final boss, where you're supposed to like hop onto Regret, like the character is literally called Regret, and just punch him, which is like, okay, fair. But the thing is, he continually respawns sword elites, and sometimes he will just fly right above those sword elites when he's carrying you while you're punching him, and he will just drop you down, and the sword elite will just instantly kill you. So it's just such another boss fight that is just so poorly thought out. Yeah. So yeah. So I gotta be honest, this is gonna be a D for me. Too many Jackal Snipers, a shitty boss fight, so much waiting. Yeah. I'm never excited when I see this level. Okay, Sacred Icon. It's a weird one. I'm trying to think. Does this one have any? Does this one have any like big skips? Like, as I recall, it only has, like, small optimizations. Like, you can do this to make this go a little faster. You can do that to speed this up ever so slightly. But I think, on the whole, there's not really a whole lot going on when it comes to... speed strats here. Hold on, let me... Let's see, there we go. I'm just gonna look for a quick refresher because I don't think there's any... Yeah. You fall down some tubes, as is tradition. You shoot the buttons, you mostly ignore the boss, or the minute boss rather. Yeah, you shoot some enemies to trigger that thing, yeah. Yeah, you stealth past those guys, yeah. No, not really. It's pretty much just like there's not much you can do to like skip much of this level, but fortunately this one isn't too tough. It already earns some points by not having Jackal Snipers in it, so that makes it a lot more enjoyable. Ultimately, I don't think it's like that amazing, really, but it's I don't really mind it. It's alright. So I think it owns a B. Yeah. Okay, so Quarantine Zone. Quarantine Zone is a direct follow-up to Sacred Icon and features a lot more vehicle combat. And... well... I don't think this one has any... as I recall, this one doesn't have any massive skips either. Let me check here real quick. Yeah. Yep, as is tradition. Yep, that's the same. Yep. Nope, it just, most of it does seem to just be, play the level fast. Yeah. Alright, yeah. Okay, so, just as I remembered, there is like a few little skips you can do to speed things up, and one of them is at least a little interesting, but it's, alright, so the issue with this one is the end of it. In that it's all a scripted elevator ride. An elevator ride that takes, let me check here real fast. Yeah, 5.5 minute long scripted elevator ride. And there is nothing skipping it. None. And the one solace in it is that this elevator ride casually is really hard, because you keep fighting more and more and more flood. It is pretty damn tough. Fortunately, there is an absurdly easy thing, skip. Is it really a skip? Well, I guess you skip the fighting, in that you just climb onto some of the top bits of it and like fall inside some of the textures. And the flood won't be able to attack you. So you can just AFK for like 5 minutes. I think it's pretty commonplace for speedrunners to go for a piss break during that. So there's that, but again, it's still like just a waiting game, which sucks. But at least it's the one solace we can take is that it's consistent. That if you get to the elevator part, you are basically done with the level. So there is that, but yeah, ultimately I think it's gonna be a C. It's definitely higher than Metropolis in that it's a level I don't mind, I guess, but it's because of the ending, it's not something that I look forward to. Okay, and Grave Mind. Alright, on to Uprising. Okay, but real quickly about Grave Mind. Grave Mind is notorious for being the most frustrating level in Halo 2. Like, just from the initial room is awful, in that the enemies will immediately start shooting at you, and it's commonplace, even for veteran players who have done thousands of speedruns, to just instantly die at the beginning. It happens. So yeah, and I think in like the earlier early days of Halo 2 speedrunning, like the majority of people's deaths would be in Grave Mind. Like, it is such a brutal level, and not to mention, it is long. It is so long. It is, without a doubt, the longest level in Halo 2, if not the entire series, I think. And yeah, it's... While I can give it that, it does, like, you know, try to change the environment and everything, not just have the same thing over and over again, which is nice, but it just feels like such a slog. It really does. And it's also a level where, again, Jackal snipers. So it's, yeah, it's just rough. And it is a level where there's supposed to be like a civil war going on between the elites and the brutes, but it doesn't really feel like too much of a, I don't know, it sometimes feels like a civil war, but then suddenly they will just decide to put their differences aside and just kill you. Yeah, it's a very wonky level, and unfortunately there isn't too many. Well, there is one skip, prison skip, which is kind of tricky to pull off, and because of the fact that it is also like after like the beginning segment, which is really hard and takes a long time. Like, yeah, it's not a good level, at least not to me. I think it's just too frustrating. It laser focuses all the negatives that Halo 2 has when it comes to legendary difficulty into something just horrendous. So yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's. I don't like it. Simple as that. Uprising, on the other hand, is actually kind of fun. Because Uprising also... I think Uprising, again, exemplifies something very specific to the Halos, to Halo 2 specifically, in that it has a strat that makes... a speedrun strat that makes the level more enjoyable. Which is... the early bits are kind of designed around the idea of just either killing the enemies, like it's mostly just brutes and a few regular jackals, and you either kill them or you just stealth your way past, and it's not too bad, actually. It's the thing that it's a fairly short while until it gets to an outdoor segment where you're supposed to like use ghosts and whatnot to get past, but this is also where Jackal snipers start appearing, and this final part of the mission can be really annoying to get through, but that is where the speedrun strat comes in, where, and this one is, it's kind of nuts, honestly. You basically like jump onto onto like a cliffside and basically go out of bounds, like out of the supposed play area, and you continue down a cliffside, and you come to a spot where the game just, the level finishes. Like, it just pops into the final cinematic, and it's like, okay, well, that's over with, which is curious, very curious, but yeah. So I think Uprising, I definitely kind of enjoy it, but it's also like one of those where the skip is kind of nuts in that it does kind of invalidate a lot of the level, but then again, it's like the part of the level that it invalidates isn't very good to begin with. So, and it's also just kind of nuts that you would think like, oh, then you skip your way past all of that, and it's like, no, you literally like skip to the end level. Like, that's pretty nuts. So I think because of that, I might actually put it in A. Yeah. Okay, High Charity. High Charity is the final Master Chief level, and yeah, you basically just gotta find your way off of High Charity, and this is a tricky one in that technically there is a speedrun strat here that is insane, in that it basically skips to the end of the level, but it's really hard to pull off, and I haven't bothered with it because I felt that it's probably gonna save like a few minutes over just running the level normally, but the amount of time it's gonna take for me to actually learn how to do this properly it's too long. So yeah. So the skip is sort of cool, but it's also in of itself also really time consuming, because what you do is it's a similar thing to the prison skip, where you basically get an enemy to end up above you as you're falling, basically, and then you repeatedly melee them. But you do like some sort of like melee cancel, I believe, which oh, you don't even do that, do you? Well, whatever. The point is, you just do that, and then you continue doing that for, I think, 4 minutes or something. You basically just do it because as you do it, like, you're progressing in a singular direction, and eventually you will actually like end up where like the level ends. And yeah, it's so it's a pretty wild trick, absolutely, but it's also like visually really boring, because all you fucking do is just spam melee onto an enemy's feet for an hour. Oh, not an hour, but several minutes, which is not very fun. And if you don't do that, well, you just play the level normally, kind of. And that's really kind of it. You play it normally and just, well, hope that you can do certain areas a little quickly. But, yeah. I think I do think it's a little better than Quarantine Zone, because there's like less downtime, at least. Like, Quarantine Zone is just so long, this downtime. Yeah. Yeah, now that I'm also looking at this, I don't think... I was thinking like, oh, we're gonna do another tier list of Reach and ODST tonight as well. Nah, it's getting too long. Already been going for 6 hours. But we're gonna finish this. The Great Journey, the final mission of the Halo 2 campaign. This mission is another mixed bag, honestly. Mostly because it has some really cool tricks, but for some reason I have just tremendous trouble actually getting some of these tricks to work. And I'm not really sure why. It starts out with something fairly simple, which is that you grab the... what is it called? A Spectre? I think that's what it's called. And you grab the Spectre and drive it off to the side and just park it there. And then you run off, you get a ghost, you ignore the wraith that one of the guys like offers to you. You get in the ghost and then you drive towards the... where there's a big ass scarab parked. The scarab doesn't do shit. And then when you drive up to the wall, you will get ambushed by a bunch of enemies, like 2 or 3 wraith tanks and several brutes. And it's just really funny here, because you might think like, oh shit, how do we deal with this? Well, it's simple. You drive back. Yeah, you drive back around the corner until you get a checkpoint, and then you drive forward again. And for some reason, they have now despawned, so you don't have to fight them at all. And that part is really consistent. That part isn't much of an issue. I think I've failed it maybe once or twice, and yeah, it's not an issue. The thing that kicks me in the nuts, though, is the next bit, where you have to maneuver your ghost inside some of the tight corridors, which is already kind of tricky in of itself, especially when there's some enemies there, and if you're not fast enough, you will have some hunters coming up behind you just stomping around. But then you have to also jump across a chasm with the ghost. And for some reason, I can never seemingly get this to work. I don't know why. I've tried following the exact examples that people give in like the videos and everything, but it doesn't really work all that well. It's super inconsistent for me. But nevertheless, you get past that, and then you just kind of... yeah, just get as quickly as you can past the next area, and which is on a bridge. Nothing much to say about that. If you can sword fly, then that's... if you're able to sword fly, then I think you can get past that. Do you have a sword there? Maybe you don't. I don't know. Regardless, you get past there. And then you get to like a prison where you're supposed to free a bunch of the inmates so that they will start killing the guards, which will open the door, allowing more brutes to get through, and you can then either help them kill off the brutes, or you can sneak by and then get to the final bit where some of the brutes are holding Johnson hostage, and you kill off the brutes, and then you're supposed to get in a Banshee, and you're supposed to like escort the Scarab that Johnson's controlling now all the way to the temple. And initially there will be some wraith tanks that spawn, and these could actually be really devastating for the Scarab. However, if you can actually do the exact same trick at the start of the level, where you go back, behind like a wall into like another load zone, and that deloads the wraiths. Boom, don't have to fight them. And then you just hop into the Banshee, then you ride it all the way back to where you left the Spectre. You hop in the Spectre, and now begin your long trek around the whole ass temple to get the Spectre into a very certain position so that when Johnson blows up the door, you will make it so that both you and the Spectre will fall off a ledge, and that will cause both of you to fall into a load zone. And this particular load zone will actually put both you and the Spectre by the final arena. And you might think like, oh, well, maybe the Spectre is like really good to use against the boss. Not quite. Instead, you will do something called Johnson cloning. The game basically checks every like couple of frames or something, I'm not sure how long, but every couple of seconds I think, that Johnson is like existing in the arena, because he is necessary to take down the boss's shield so you can damage him. And he only really does this like every couple of seconds, and it's very unreliable. But the thing is, if he hops into a vehicle, the game will not detect him, and as such will spawn a new Johnson. So with this, you can spawn, I think, almost an infinite number of Johnsons. But it's quite enough just to get 3 of them, so you get 3 as passengers on the vehicle, and then you just drive the vehicle onto the platform, blow it up with a sticky, because that causes all of the Johnsons to exit the vehicle. And now they will just rapid fire the beam rifle at the boss, and his shields will be almost constantly down. And then you just pick up 2 brute plasma rifles and just fucking annihilate him. So the Great Journey is... This is tricky. Because I think casually the level isn't... It's not too great. Simply because of the fact that it's another boss fight. The boss fight is not very good. At least I don't think so. I think it's really frustrating. And it's just... yeah, it's really kind of frustrating. Yeah. They also kind of make it sound like Johnson will die if you don't like keep him safe at all times. But really, if you just destroy, if you just make sure that those 3 Wraith tanks are either deloaded or just die, then you're good. Like he's not gonna die. So yeah. So I had a lot of troubles with that segment, I remember, back when I played it initially, because we hadn't really used Banshees that much. I think the only other times where we used Banshees was in the Arbiter. Yeah. And they don't handle the same as they do in Halo 1, so you have to like kind of relearn how to use them and everything. But I honestly think the creative strategies for like the boss and everything And just how funny it is and how effective it is. Like, I think it might actually be S. I think so. Like, even though this level does have Jackal snipers, they're very few. I think it's only like 2 on the whole level or something. So I think it might actually be S, just because, yeah, that strategy is just so cool. Like, the idea of, like, literally bringing a vehicle to the final fight. And you can actually do this with a Banshee as well. Which, in some ways is actually, like, a safer method. Because obviously, like, you don't have to... you don't have to, like, play around with getting a... don't have to play around so much in getting the Banshee into the right position, because obviously it flies. Yeah. Okay. Let's step this up. Sierra 117. This level has a number of skips, actually. Although none of them are particularly... It's nothing that, like, blows your dick off, really. It's mostly just like, oh, you can do that, huh? What do you know? And it also introduces, you know, that... the parts where Cortana will, like, slow the game down and, like, talk to you, and it's... that shit is awful. And it's really funny how speedrunners are trying their damnedest to find ways to skip those things to the best of their ability. And it's, yeah. Yeah, on the whole, I don't hate this level. I think it's alright. And there are some, like, funny strats you do, like, for instance, there's a part where you literally just walk on the bottom of a lake. Well, not a lake, a river. Instead of actually fighting through the enemies. And then you literally grenade jump out of the lake. So that's pretty funny. But, yeah. And there is a segment called the Jackal Forest, where you might think, oh god, Jackal sniper time. It's like, well, luckily they actually never did them quite as badly as in Halo 2 again. So, yeah, I think... I think this might be a B. Like, I don't mind it, but it's... I don't mind it. It does have some cool strats, and... in particular, it does have, like, a pretty nuts one at the end, where... like, the Pelican is supposed to come in and pick you up, but first it has to, like, shoot down some phantoms and properly position itself. But if you manage to do like a grenade hammer jump, you can actually get onto it early and finish the level earlier, which is really cool. But ultimately, it's not like any other tricks where it makes things easier, because in of itself the trick is really, really hard, like really precise to actually get down, and I've just haven't bothered with it. Okay, Crow's Nest. Crow's Nest is I don't know. It's kind of a meh level. It's nothing too exciting, nothing too fun. There are some skips in it, absolutely. In particular, where you can skip the entire prison segment with the gravity hammer. So that thing is pretty cool. But yeah, it also just has a lot of frustrating bits where they wouldn't really be frustrating if you if the environment wasn't so like rough. But yeah, it's I think it's a C. Do I enjoy it more than Metropolis? Do I enjoy it more? Yeah, do I enjoy it more than Quarantine Zone? Yeah, probably. More than High Charity? Yeah, I'd say so. Okay, Tsavo Highway. This one is really fast. Like, it's well, it's not the fastest, but it is a vehicle level, and for the most part, you can basically just drive past almost everything. And it does have this cool little strat where, like, the bridge is broken and everything, and it's like, oh no, you can't get your Warthog over there. Well, that sucks. But there's actually right before that, you can actually pick up a grav lift and just place that down, and you can get across no problem. In fact, you can even get across without it, but it's kind of inconsistent. And then when you get to the end, it's kind of unclear, but basically what all you have to do to finish the level is just destroy the turret and destroy the roadblock. That's it. If those are destroyed, then the level should automatically end. Should, because sometimes it's a little weird. But I kind of enjoy this one. It's very fast, it's very active, but it's definitely not like a complete walk in the park, because you do have to drive a little carefully, especially on Legendary. So I think this is it's a solid B. Okay, the Storm. The Storm is it's not a bad level, I think. It's a level that tries a lot of different stuff. It's definitely a level with a lot of variety in the stuff you fight. But it also has that segment where you're supposed to like drive around on mongooses, on monkeys. And have like an AI like shoot down other vehicles with an RPG, and it's very inconsistent. It's yeah, but you can actually do a pretty sick skip around that part as well, where you can completely bypass fighting the Scarab, which I think is pretty sick. It's just too bad that we can't like skip the rest of that as well, because if you don't like do the earlier bits, then the later stage of the level won't like load properly, I think. So yeah. But I would say so yeah, probably a high C. It's like it's not a bad level. It's not the one that I enjoy the most, but it has its moments. Okay, Floodgate. Floodgate is... This one's difficult because Floodgate, I've actually played Floodgate probably the most out of all the levels in Halo 3, and it's only because Floodgate is so fast. It is super fast. You can get through that level in less than 5 minutes, even on Legendary. And I gotta say, it's really quite satisfying though that you basically start the level. Well, you don't quite start it, but early on you get to pick up a fully charged gravity hammer, which of course is really fucking effective against Flood. So you do get to have a lot of fun with that and just completely decimate the Flood. So that is pretty nice. Definitely is. The question is, like, is there... There's not really a lot of speedruns tech on it, though. Like, you basically just go fast. There's a bit in the middle where you can, like, skip the Cortana nonsense again, but... yeah. Other than that, it's mostly just, like, small optimizations. Like, you can bounce in a certain area to skip having to go around. But on the whole, yeah, I think it's gonna be like a low B, because it's nothing too spectacular or amazing, but it's like it's a nice relaxing level, even on Legendary. So kind of like it for that. All right, the Ark. The Ark is very much a vehicle level. It's I'd say about 75% of it is just vehicles. When it comes to speedrun strats for this one, it's I'm trying to remember. Does it actually... I need to check real quick. I seem to recall there is a... Yeah, okay, yeah. That's how it was. Yeah, there is a pretty sick strategy you can do to speed things up, where when you get the tank the second time, you instead just stick with the chopper and just drive to the spot where the scarab is supposed to jump down. And you... let's see, do you... let's see, do you... yes, yeah, you throw a grenade and use a fuel rod, and that will actually give you enough height to get onto the back of the Scarab immediately. And then you can just shoot the weak spot, blow him up, and you're done. Then I believe you drive up that one on the side. You drive the yeah. You drive the chopper on the side of the temple. That's right, and then you skip straight to the spot where the Arbiter and the Marines come in. Yeah. Then you, of course, you grenade the Marines so they don't bore you with their prattling. So that thing is pretty cool, but it is really sketchy to pull off in my experience. I haven't been able to really do it. And I've always had like immense amounts of trouble with the Scarab part in this one. It is really the only part that gives me issue. Sometimes I can have some issues with the room right before what is that room? Right before you interact with the console and then have to go back around. That room can usually fuck me up quite a bit, but yeah. Then the final arena is usually pretty chilled, provided you have some good equipment with you. I mean, if you come into that thing with like if you get like an early kill on the Brute Chieftain, that's pretty sick, because then you have invulnerability for it. But yeah, I think the arc is might be a low B, I think. Because it's like, it has some cool stuff, but ultimately it takes a while for that to come into play. The Covenant, oof. I'm not a big fan of this level because I've just had a terrible time almost every time I play it. Like, shit just goes wrong and just enemies just light me up, and yeah, it's just really unfortunate. And yeah, the speedrun is almost just about taking risks and hoping that they pay off. That's kind of it. So I'm not super big on the Covenant, so I think it may have to end up at a C, especially since the fucking double Scarab bit at the end just continues to fuck with me incessantly. I have so much trouble with that thing, and I'm glad I don't have to do like the speedrun anymore. I've already gotten the speedrun achievement for this game, but I am gonna have to fucking do Lasso at some point, and I'm not sure what that's gonna be like. We'll see. All right, well, let's move along. Cortana. Cortana is it's a little annoying. It's got to be said. It's kind of annoying. It's just so many fucking pure forms in that mission. And like the only thing that actually seems to do any kind of damage to pure forms is a needler. That's it. Like everything else just completely sucks ass. Sometimes they can even survive a direct hit from a gravity hammer. Like I don't know why, but they just do. That's what they do. They just survive. Yeah, so that one's not the best. That one's probably gonna end up Is it a D? I think it might be. Because it doesn't even have any like cool speedrun strats or anything like that, if as I recall it. It has some small optimizations and stuff you can do, but ultimately it's not anything like too big. And I remember one of the speedrun strats is it is wildly inconsistent. Like yeah, I tried it so many times and it would just kill me most of the time. So I think it's, yeah. Yeah, not too great, not too great. Okay, so then we have Halo, and yeah, this one is it's a little weird, honestly. It is kind of funny how one of the strategies you do is you get yourself onto the platform where Johnson is, and then you kill him, and then you take his Spartan laser, but you don't actually use it. Instead, you move that shit away so you can kill him again, because the next time you kill him, the Spartan laser he drops will have infinite ammo, and then you can use that. Although, of course, it only actually helps in the process before the actual temple. Because once you go inside, you'll lose it. So, yeah, I think this might be another C. I think it's a fairly high C, because it's I do kind of enjoy the driving segment at the end. I do think it's a lot more epic and more enjoyable than the Maw. So yeah. Alright, on to Halo 4. Okay. Dawn. Okay, so there is some new speedrun strategies that I've heard of that are pretty nuts for this level. That makes it so that you can beat this thing super fast, but I haven't really done them. What I have done, though, is there is a strategy, like, partway through it where you're supposed to get to a console. And what you're supposed to do is fight your way through a bunch of covenants, but really the faster method is just to go up to some pipes and then use a concussion rifle to just boost yourself up. And my success rate with that has always been wonky. Although I did try I started trying a different version, and that one has been a lot more consistent. But yeah, it's it is what it is. But ultimately, it's like not too exciting. But yeah, at least Cortana's nice looking. Okay, then we have Requiem. Requiem is like a pseudo vehicle level. Like you play a vehicle for a bit of it, and then you don't play a vehicle in it, and yeah. I think it's another okay level. Like I don't hate it. It's all right. There's no like insane strats or anything in it, but Yeah. It's like a solid C, I think. Then we have Forerunner. Yeah, I think Forerunner's gonna have to end up here somewhere. Yeah. Somewhere around here. Forerunner, I just... yeah, Forerunner introduces the Knights. And the Knights are just... Oh, not just the Knights. It also introduces the... what the fuck are those called? Those little flying enemies. Hold on, I can bring this up here. Watchers. There we go. So yeah. Knights are basically just a bulkier, more annoying version of elites. That's basically it. That's all they are. They teleport around, they are just being annoying little shits. Yeah, it's not great. And the thing is, for a lot of this level, you just have such shitty fucking weapons to fight them with. You don't have any plasma pistol or anything like that, which is what you really need, because for whatever reason, they also have shields. So, yeah. And it fucking sucks when you finally manage to break the shield and they teleport away. It's like, you bitch. Yeah. So, yeah. It definitely stays there. Okay. Infinity. Infinity, I'm a little split on. I think Infinity has some pretty cool strats in how you can basically just despawn such enormous amounts of enemies and make it so much easier on you. But it also has that part in the jungle where it's dependent on how many of the Marines survive. And that one just sucks. Because sometimes the enemies will just off most of your squad and you're left with only like 2 Marines. And that means that the holdout section is going to be awful. So... yeah... I think this might have to be another C. Like, if it weren't for that section, I think it may have actually been a B. But, yeah, that part just it really grinds my gears. Do not enjoy it. Alright, so Reclaimer. Reclaimer is when you're on the Oliphant and... no, not the Oliphant, the Elephant. The Oliphant is the one in ODST. Awful lot of waiting on this one, which I'm not a big fan of. Although the speedrun does cut out a sizable chunk of that waiting, which is quite nice. And... because really, you just have to wait, like, at the start. Then it kind of opens up completely to you, and you can just go at your own pace, which... yeah, it's quite nice. And it is really cool that in the midsection where the Lich appears, that you can actually just position yourself in a decent way, where you can just hop onto it as it spawns in and then just blow it up immediately. And then you just have to wait for a checkpoint and then you can continue driving forward. And then for the final area, which is like supposed to be a huge gauntlet, you can just literally like jetpack your way like around the mountain and completely skip it. So I think for that, it deserves a B. Or does it deserve an A? Think so, maybe. It is pretty fun. Okay, Shutdown. Shutdown is... It's kind of hilarious. In that... Casually, it's a pretty long level where you have to, like, go to 2 places in a pelican and then activate them, and then go to another place and fight through a long-ass gauntlet before you finally get to a panel you can put in Cortana and then finally finish the level. The speedrun, however, you don't actually have to go to the first initial 2 spots. You can actually just fly past them, which I think is... It's just so funny. That it's like, no way you could do that, but yeah, you can just go straight to the 3rd objective and just hop out and jetpack into the building. Easy peasy. Okay, oh, and that's not all, actually. After you've done that, there's supposed to be like a big gauntlet of enemies for you to fight, but you can actually do a trick there where you use your jetpack and a moving pylon to basically fling yourself like across the entire, like around the entire room, and you completely skip all the difficult fighting. And then you just take an elevator up, you hop into a Banshee, fly to the end, hope you don't get shot down, and then just finish the level. So I think this actually might be another A. It's yeah, I think it's an A. I was considering, like, that's a lot of cool skips, but really the first one is kind of like just a massive oversight on the developer's part. Like, it's just funny that they left a big gap in the door to just allow you to get through. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish all this tonight. Like, it's pretty late already. I've been going for 7 hours now. Let's try and finish Halo 4 at least, and then I can see if I can add ODST and Reach for next time. Okay, Composer. Composer is... It's another level with, like, no, like, huge skips or anything like that. It's mostly, like, a lot of fairly small ones, but obviously each small one, like, adds up over time. I remember there is one where you skip a bunch of fighting, which is also really finicky because you can, like, soft lock if you do it improperly. But yeah, and it also has, like, that really difficult Mantis segment. Yeah. It does also... I was gonna say, it also has that long bit at the end where you just have to wait for the level to end. Or rather, you don't even... You not just have to wait for the level to end, you have to wait for a bunch of talking to finish, and then you can press a button to end the level. So you can't even, like, get up and leave. You have to, like, literally sit around and wait for that exact moment. But I did learn recently that there is actually a way to completely skip that entire thing, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, I think it serves some props for that. But yeah, I think still it deserves to be in C, maybe. Anything I've forgotten about this level that is actually quite cool? No, not really. That's kind of it. You just fight a lot of Covenant and you just try to go as fast as possible. Kill speed is like the A game there. And then we have Midnight. Midnight has the only flying segment in the game. Well, it has the only non-Banshee flying segment in the game. Okay, it has the only non-Banshee, non-Pelican flying segment in the game. God damn it. Where you, like, basically Star Fox your way through a bunch of different shit, and it's, I'm split on whether or not it's actually enjoyable. I think the spacecraft controls very stiff. I think it's very, very stiff. Like, it's just it's not the greatest. And then after that, I think it's just yeah, it's just a matter of like fighting or skipping your way past enemies. When I say skipping, I just mean like literally like jumping and running. That's it. Like there's no like big huge skips or anything. I do know that there is like a skip for the flying segment at the beginning. There is that, which you basically like go out of bounds and everything. But honestly, I don't think the flying segment is like that troublesome. Like, hi, Heather. Yeah. I'm actually getting close to wrapping things up. I been going now for how long? Yeah, 7 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, we are rating all levels in the Halo series. Except for like spin-offs. You nerd. Oh, you have no idea. Especially since a lot of this is based on like from a completionist point of view and like what speedrun tech you can use. Okay, so is there anything I've forgotten about Midnight that stands out? Not really. It's even the speed run is like, yeah, you just have to kill the enemies quickly. It's like, okay, yeah. And I mean, nothing to scoff at really, because like, not like it's easy to kill the enemies. I mean, there's knights all over the place, and it's a lot about positioning yourself quickly. But yeah, there's nothing that really blows your dick off. So it's not really, yeah, it's not really a favorite of mine. Yeah. And it also ends with ends with a fucking QTE. Like yeah. I don't know if the thought was like, well, nobody's liked the bosses we made before, so why bother? Or if it was just a case of like, yeah, we're out of time, we can't make a boss fight, we're just gonna make a QTE. Because it's yeah, it just feels very abrupt. It's just like, oh, there's the didact. Oh, and then we do some fisticuffs, and then we put a fucking grenade inside his chest. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, we basically reverse Kalima him. Yeah, I think this might be a C. Like, it's not really a bad level per se, but it's just kind of unremarkable. Like, sure, it looks nice in a lot of ways, but I mean, Halo 4 looks nice in a lot of places. Like, yeah. So yeah, I think that is our list so far. So I'm gonna try and rectify the fact that this thing did not have Reach or ODST, because I definitely think those two merit discussion. In fact, I think they merit more discussion than fucking Halo 6, because yeah, wow, these things aren't even in order, I think. Wait, why is there 2 Outpost Tremonius? What? One is just red text and one is white text with red outline. Apparently I can't get rid of it either. Oh well. Well, now they seem to be in order though. But yeah, I think we're gonna continue with those next week, because I gotta go get some dinner, man. I'm fucking starving right now. This was fun though. We finished the DLC campaign on Warhammer Boltgun, and yeah, we're gonna probably do Horde mode next week, and I'm gonna have to figure out what the hell we're gonna play after that. Go eat. Yeah, I'm glad I got to say hello. Yeah, I'm glad you stopped by too. Yeah, I definitely underestimated how long this was gonna take. I thought like, oh, well, probably it's gonna take like 2 hours, but yeah. Now we're been at it for over 3 and still not done. It's like, yeah. It didn't even include 2 of the games. All right. So yeah, we'll be back next week with more silly nonsense. More Warframe, probably more Boltgun. We'll see. Unless I accidentally like beat it off stream, which, look, if I make it to round 12 on Exterminatus, I'm not gonna quit out just so you can watch it. I'm sorry, but we'll see. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll play something else. So yeah, with that, just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.